All right, welcome everybody. We are here for the Antichess World Championships of 2022 between SirKex and ChangeOpening. This is a rematch of last year's final. So Flo is getting a chance to defend his title, to be the second person to win two in a row, and Kex is trying to unseat him. So today I've got the Unknown Guy Reborn with me, and we are going to be watching this match together.
Yeah, sure to be an exciting one. Think it's going to go to extras?
I don't know. I'm hoping we get as many games as possible, though. It's going to be great.
So the World Championship has been added to the front page. It's above the European Chess Championship. So hopefully we'll get some new viewers today.
Some viewers, yeah. All right, so we've got 2 minutes before it starts. Flo was playing the team battle just a few minutes ago, so I feel like that's a sign that he's nice and relaxed and ready to go. Although I don't say it looks like he's online now, so we should be starting real soon.
Yep. I talked to Kex earlier today, and he's 100% ready for the match. So.
Chess Demon
Please no
saying
E3 or E6.
No E3, E6.
I doubt we'll see Kex responding with E6. I'm not sure about Flo, but I will see. I could be wrong. If Antichess is solved, how come it's still a competitive game? Well, it's because some of the mates are like 120 moves long. No human can really memorize that many moves. So as long as you throw a wrinkle into your opening, you should have some kind of game.
So I had some people ask me like what the predictions were. I don't know if one player's favored over the other. They're both super strong players. I mean, I think maybe Flo has a slight advantage just because he's the defending champ. All right. Flo's going to start as white.
So that we see E3, right? And there it is. And we see E3, E6.
So we're wrong right off the bat.
We already go into a Watkins race, so Flo's comfortable here. I'm interested to see what Kex has prepared, because this is very much Flo's territory.
Okay, so this looks like Flo and Arun played this line. So Arun played this line against Flo in his series, which I think maybe they did it twice, and I think it went 1-1. And Arun actually ended up, I think, winning that series, which was a little bit of a shock. But I think Flo knows what he's looking for here.
Yeah. So does Kex, considering he has like a minute, over a minute more than what he started with. So.
Yeah. So when I look at this, like I kind of feel like, all right, Black should have a slight advantage here, I think, but then you've got pawns spread out, so that's kind of the problem.
Yeah, if Black can really get together and keep his pieces as close to those pawns as possible, they'll be okay. Like King F7, King E6, something like that. As long as White can't force Black to give up the rook, Black should be okay. Black does have something like Knight C7 to attack the pawn on There we go on b5, but there's just a5 to get it out of the way.
And right now a6 is covered by the rook, so he's not going to push that pawn yet, but maybe
See,
Kex.
Flower in the chat says knight to e6.
Yeah, say it feels like moving the knight to the center.
So white is now threatening king d3, and then rook to either c2 or e2. So black probably has to play knight g5. Yep.
And again, Kex has these pawns so far spread out. It's going to be hard to get them killed.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you stop king promotion on white's end, because if king s7, then the rook's kind of trapped. You have to sacrifice it, and you're left with 3 pawns versus rook and king, which is not great. Maybe Kex plays rook b8 here, trying to get the rook off the back rank. That way, if king promotion, black isn't forced to sacrifice.
I think most likely we'll see that. And Flo has the advantage here that his the pinned pawns are on his side of the board. So if at some point they're shuffling around, and if he gets his king killed on b6 or whatever, then as long as there's not a bunch of pieces in this area, he should be fine.
I'm expecting rook b4 maybe to try and counteract the king, just trying to keep it away from those pawns because king to d3 is a threat. But I guess there's just king f8 to stop that.
Yeah, now he has to ditch the rook.
I guess just push the h pawn and try to get a rook. Because black can stop rook promotion. Actually, can it if h3? Yeah, black has one move, h1 rook with the rook on a5 is winning. So. Xmeal asked why not 22 knight d8, and that doesn't work because it's just mate in 2 for white. King to d3, and then rook to e2 just ends the game right there.
Yeah, that's just a win right there, right?
Yeah, there's nothing black can do. Best try would probably be I don't know, maybe e3, but it's just mate in 4, so. And ChangeOpening takes the first game. Game 2, another e3.
All right. Do we get e6 out of Flo?
Flower says he really wants a cc4. I think Kex might be saving that as a weapon.
Yeah,
I think he's prepared a neat line here.
Yeah, I think we will see a c4, but Flo goes with the Polish instead.
I have a feeling we're not going to see too many crazy outlandish lines like 3 knight f3 or 3 e4
right.
in this series. Everybody wants to stay really solid. Yeah.
Although didn't it last year in the final? I think Flo played g5 at one point, right? Like after e3, was it the wild boar, or maybe he grabbed it for the pawn first? But
I think he did play wild boar, yeah. And now we have a race, which is losing for black. So Kex should know what he's doing here to convert.
Yeah, and he's moving pretty quick with it too. So
Seems he's prepared it.
So that bishop can go down to e1 and then f2. So Kex can just keep attacking with his queen.
Now, is it takes g8 or takes g7? Is the question. Takes g7. Maybe you can, or takes g7, takes g1. You can probably take back with the rook. Takes g7, takes e. Okay, you just see takes g8. Takes g7 should be here because the bishop can take the rook.
Yeah, the rook still, that bishop has 2 kills with the rook and the knight.
You can also go rook, knight, pawn if white doesn't capture carefully enough.
It's kind of interesting how a position like this might look simple, but it's not. Like you've got black's got 2 options and white's got 3, and they both lead to multiple options right after that.
On top of that, white still has to calculate whether the endgame's winning because of the lone a pawn.
Yep.
White has to absolutely make sure that they're winning.
Yeah. And black's got the pawn on e5, which will promote first if they're both left with those pawns. So really, Kex wants to find a way to get the rook.
I think g7 might be losing because, okay, bishop g1, you can't take back, so h7, but then bishop takes a rook. I think h7 was the move.
Yeah.
So after h7, if you take back, then you have queen h8, bishop g7, bishop g1, queen g7, bishop h2, and then queen e5, and then bishop takes queen. Then you have rook versus 2 pawns.
Yeah.
Or sorry, queen and rook, 2 pawns versus pawn. Yeah.
All right, so flow goes up 2-0.
It's e3 again.
I wonder, like Flo played that one fairly quickly, so it seemed like he had seen it before, but I felt like Kex had a slightly better position.
Kex did have the better position up until queen g, or just that one mistake cost it. And this opening has gone by really fast. I've missed a couple moves. Bishop a3. I don't think I've ever seen that one after rook h6.
I think I've seen Flo play that a few times.
Either way, this looks great for black. Or sorry, for white. Maybe just, I don't know, I'd probably play either a4 or rook d1 here. Black is essentially threatening queen b6 here, going after the weak pawn on b3, because pawn can't recapture because the rook sweeps down the open file, and the knight can't recapture because it's a pawn on c5, so black would get an extra move. You've seen knight h3.
Yeah, and I think Flo plays these positions quite a bit. He's seen them. Chess Demon's kind of mentioning that um, Devanch was trying this as black against Flo.
Devanch Flo was a win for Flo, I think. Either way, I think black might be trying. I'd probably play c4, maybe queen a4 after that. For I don't know. I don't really see any other move other than c4. Queen a5 doesn't really work because then there's just b4, and you've thrown away your queen. So c4 first, b takes, then queen a4, and b4 doesn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of being
Now,
like black in this position where you've got like two bishops and your pieces aren't very developed.
do you think we'll see queen b4 or queen a? Oh, never mind. Queen a2 it is. And now I think white's winning here, if and only if they find. Okay, I was gonna say if and only if they find knight to e4, because it threatens. Oh, knight f6. The black's kind of cramped after knight e5. You're never going to be able to develop either bishop after it. But after knight f1, the c file opens up. So it also means that black can play bishop g7 finally and get one of their bishops out. Okay, we see Kex go the other way and play e6.
Kind of wonder if we'll end up in an end game.
Do you think Kex or Flo has the edge in endgames?
I mean, I like white's position a little bit better. Black has more material. So Flo is just kind of stalling.
I think Kex really needs to get that dark squared bishop out. That way you can start trying to get the light squared bishop out. Maybe something like h5, bishop e7 here. Oh, there's bishop e7.
So Flo retreats.
I would keep the pressure on here and play bishop. Okay, I was going to suggest bishop f6, because now that knight can't really get out. If you put it on e7, they're just gonna you're running into e4. h5 instead. So maybe knight h3, e4. Flo's setting up a double kill on the g file after knight to g4. White then has a free move to do something, but
right,
there's not a lot for white to do with it.
Yeah, there's not like a lot of. He doesn't really want to get rid of both of his knights, and then that would also open up his H pawn to have to march down the board. So I think Kex is better now just having the material. Like he might just start pushing this B pawn.
I don't think black can push the b pawn just yet, because then white could refocus all of their attention to chaining, like bringing the knights back over. I think king f7 is a better move, which is what black played. Maybe here, though, just... I don't know. I'd still be trying to get that light squared bishop out somehow, but maybe it's a bit early for that. So Both players not really sure what to do here. They're just kind of
Right?
shuffling. Yeah. Maybe they draw. Just I'm not sure if Gex would be happy for a draw, but if you're playing with black, then you can't be too mad. Just out of curiosity, what would happen if black tried to play like knight g8, knight h6, try and counter the knights? Is that good for black? Okay, so Flo finally declines the repetition and plays knight f1.
Flo has a little bit of a time advantage. Like, I don't know if they're planning on just playing this to a draw, but
I mean, there's no clear way for either side to really make any progress. Knight to e3 is an interesting try, but black can just trade with knight f5, knight takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, and then bishop to a6. And not only is black's bishop free, white has doubled pawns. So
oh wait. All right.
and they draw. All right. Kex now has the white pieces. Will we see c4? No.
Not yet. Oh boy.
We see b5. Wow.
But then he
Generally, you don't
doesn't.
see that. Sorry.
Yeah, he played b5, but then he didn't play his next move like immediately, so it felt like he was unsure. Maybe he's regretting making the move.
Maybe it was a sliv and he intended to play b6. But this has happened in a couple finals now. b5 isn't a great move, theoretically, just because, well, it loses a lot faster, and white generally has an easier time taking advantage of it. But this has been seen like twice in the finals now, where somebody plays b5.
Yeah, I think Flo's just trying to say, hey, Kex didn't prep for b5 at all, which she probably didn't. But like you said, like Kex should be fine anyways here.
Probably just like knight e2, knight c3, and go after the d pawn. Okay, we see queen h5 instead. I think black is fine here with bishop d7. Like, now that the queen's gone there, you with knight e2 becomes possible again, because bishop a6 doesn't work anymore, because the king can just move. Before that, the knight would have been defended by the queen and the king. So bishop d7 would be aiming to get rid of it. And then you're just taking defended pieces the whole way down, so there's no intermediate. We see rook takes h7, which means that white has to defend against the threat.
Yeah.
We see g3 and king takes, which now puts white's king in a bit of an awkward spot.
Right.
But
So
that can be solved with knight e2, rook e1.
Yeah, probably develop the knight, and I feel like we might see. All right, so.
Oh, it's just mate. There's no way for the bishop to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be mate. Can't push the pawn up because the knight comes in here. Still should be able to.
That's the end of this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Flo went with b5, because c5 seemed to work out. Although that game was a little weird, I think Kex maybe should have won that. So,
well, either way, I don't see I don't see Kex messing this one up.
Yeah. Good move to grab the rook.
Hmm.
Should be able to
Rook
slide
H1,
the
Rook
rook
A1.
out of the way and then put it back.
All right.
All right.
2.5, 1.5. We go into game 5. Flo now has the white pieces. We see E3 again.
Hopefully not B6 here. That last game was... oh, man.
And we see B6. Right, standard layered 8 theory.
So isn't this the exact same game?
Almost exactly the same.
Right. Now,
but
Flo moved his rook underneath, though. I think that's different.
yeah, I think last game it was knight H3 instead of rook D1.
Valentino's asking what happens if they tie 5-5. Do you know what the rule
So
is for that?
I believe they play 12 games in the ground
Okay.
final. So you need 6.5 to win. If they're tied after 12, they play another 2 games. If they're still tied, they play another 2. And then after that, it's Armageddon.
Okay. Well, Kex is undefeated at Armageddon, so he has that advantage. Unlikely to get to that point, but
I will pull up our rule site quickly just to make sure.
I think
Okay,
Kex is
final matches.
looking better this time than he was last time, but it's still, his pieces are kind of undeveloped there, and you've got your both your bishops.
Actually, hold on a second. Is Queen B6 seems like it loses. Rook 2, Rook B1.
Oh.
After Queen takes, Rook takes.
Yeah, that's a good find.
What's next? I'd say Black kind of has to ignore the Rook for now and take E, maybe the King. But then there's just F4. So
Yeah, Flo should be able to win this without a problem. Because even capturing back the queen, then the rook's going to be taking the pieces. He's got 2 minutes to make the right move, so this should be over here in a few seconds.
mm-hmm. A4, Rook B1, G3, Knight H, or Knight E2, Knight F3.
So moving the rook away just removes a target. None of his pieces are covered, so he needs to move his knight anywhere, really. Well, not anywhere. Not F3, but...
Rook B3 also would have worked. But yeah, just mate in 3 now after A4. And we go to game 6, 3.5, 1.5.
Still playing E3. Yeah. Goes back to C5 instead. So I think this is that same game that we played.
Yep. However, Flo goes for a slightly different line and plays king d8. However, this still looks really good for white. Actually, this is the same position we got earlier, so as long as Kex figures out the mate, this should be fine. So, if nobody remembers, this is queen d7, bishop b4, queen f7, bishop e1, rook to b6. Actually, maybe you can avoid that line this time and just play queen g7, and then that way the bishop can't take on b6. So queen g7,
Yeah.
bishop f7, and then just queen h7, and then there's no b6 shenanigans.
Yeah, Erwin's saying Kex should take his time and do the calculation.
So h7, learning from last game's mistake, is the winning move here. And we see g7, which throws the game away again due to taking on g1. Take on g1, queen takes somewhere, bishop takes e6, and it's game.
Huh.
I think Kex needs to look at this line during the break if he were to play it again.
Yeah, I feel like calling a break and looking at this is probably a wise choice.
Yep, Flo sees the mate. There's nothing to be done, just white takes anywhere, bishop takes c3. Do you think Flo has is ballsy enough to pre-move bishop takes c3?
No, I don't think so.
No. e3, and then white has to take the rook, and black has a couple free moves to do whatever. Or I guess you could do rook b6 first, but it's still mate.
I'm surprised Flo didn't move right away. Okay.
And that will be the end of game 6.
So will
We
we
go
get
to
a
game 7.
break, or do we just keep going?
Well, the break would have been called by now, so we keep going.
All right. Do we see b6? All right, e6 instead. So maybe the same line that we ran the first game.
Yep, knight c3, rook takes, queen takes, king takes. And the move here we saw last game was f5 or d5. I don't think Flo's gonna, or Kex is gonna play. No.
Yeah, this looks
I don't think
identical.
Kex is gonna play the d5. Yeah. So last game we saw knight c7. Maybe we'll see something a little bit different. Nope. Okay. a6 and
e6, right?
I think we saw king f7 last game.
Yeah, to kick the... Okay, so this is different.
I don't think this... you know what? I think this is still winning for white, even if you just sack both rooks. And then king e2 after rook b1.
Yeah. And white's going to have to move the rook over.
So black's goal is to advance the pawns as far as possible, as fast as possible.
He just has
Black is setting up a chain here with knight d2.
so many of them.
Yeah, it's going to be the issue here. You probably need knight c... Sorry. The pawns are kind of frozen right now. Ooh, that looks kind of like a blunder. I think Flo might have had a chance for king a4 there. Because e4 would have been protected twice.
Yeah, they're moving kind of quick, considering they have so much time on their clocks. Can you push c2?
c2, I think that's...
It ends up being a draw, right?
Yeah. Then you have... There's no way, like, knight doesn't work, bishop attacks the king, rook doesn't work, queen doesn't work. So you have to play rook, and then... Like, rook to c6, I guess, is the draw. They decided to do this, which is still a draw, I think. This is only a draw because of the two stuck pawns. If
Yeah.
they weren't there, this is a win for black.
I wonder though if,
So maybe,
like, how much of this draw will they play out? Like, Kex kind of might need to play it for a few minutes to see if Flo will blunder at all.
yeah, if I was Kex, I'd definitely be playing this too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a draw.
Yeah, so in this position, black can't trap the king, and then white does not want to give away their king to the pawn, because then the pawn will promote before his own pawn, so it is a draw.
And the reason why the rook can't trap the queen, or sorry, the king, is just because if the king were to follow in the rook's traps and go to the edge of the board, the rook at some point would have to attack the h4 pawn, and the king would be close enough to sacrifice itself. So in this here, after rook g3, the king can go back one file, and rook g5, sorry, rook g4 is not possible.
Yep, which is what we're seeing right now.
Okay, and we go to the next game without a break. It is 5-2 Flo, and we see c4. So Flo needs a win and a draw. Kex needs 4 wins and a draw.
Kex is pretty good at making comebacks. And I hope for our sake, for entertainment purposes, it happens.
Kex isn't playing his normal f4 line, and instead we see g4. However, I don't think this is the right continuation. In the actual line, there's a pawn on a4 and a pawn on h5. But black doesn't have to play h5 here. It might be e5.
And I'm certain that...
Maybe e6. I forget the move here.
Yeah, Flo definitely would have studied c4 quite a bit. And that's why Kex is doing something a little bit different. So it does look like Flo has not seen this. I don't think he wants to get rid of his king and his rook. Like, he needs to keep playing.
Probably for white here, knight b3. Yeah, knight b3. a5 is worth a shot for black. I'm not sure how much it accomplishes, so maybe just h5 here. Maybe trying to get the rook into the game. Okay, a5. Maybe rook g1 here.
I don't see any... There's no intermediates available because all of black's pieces are covered.
Okay, we see bishop a6. Probably now king d8 after the captures. Unless Kex or Flo decides to take the bishop.
Which I'm what he's considering it. Yeah, he does it. Yeah.
See a3, which might have been a blunder because then rook takes c6 happens. But see g6. I'd imagine Kex plays rook c1 here. d4, okay. So just knight d7, black is fine.
He's, yeah, kicking the knight here.
Knight g8, interesting.
He puts it away.
Now white is surely winning. There's... Yeah, just rook c1, king e2, and
Yeah.
king d2 works as well. Just b4 here. Black's threatening to play e5 and sack the bishop. And then knight, king, rook will follow. So b4 stops that.
Right.
Just because after e5, the bishop has to take an undefended piece instead of the defended knight.
Interesting. So he sacks the knight.
And then e5. I guess if c3, he's planning to stay back with the king. Maybe black tries f5 here. Maybe knight h6. Okay, c3, king takes.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
shocked
h5.
that Kex got rid of his knight there.
Rook hd1. Oh, that's mate.
Yep, there you go.
Threatening d6, no way to stop it. Black's best try is king d7, pawn takes, and then I don't know actually, just e6 maybe.
Yeah,
Pawn takes, but then there's rook d6 at the end of it.
I don't see if there's anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kex gets a game back.
It brings out a bishop just to attack something different.
Yeah, just king c4, b4.
Yeah, I feel like b4 is just coming. Yeah.
I just play f4 here, and then
Yeah, I go c7. They're all lined up there pretty well. All right. Flow resigns.
All right. Game 9. Back to e3.
All right, what do we got, Kex? What are we gonna do? We're playing this again.
Okay, Kex should probably had looked at this line, or better have looked at this line. Otherwise, this is just death. He needs to know to take on h7 instead.
Right? But
Okay, we're gonna see this line again. Takes on g7, g4, takes.
didn't
You have to play bishop a6 here, otherwise you lose. I mean, the only alternative is a4. Whoa, that's just mate. Rook g4 and it's over.
Oof.
If e4, knight takes, and there's no capture, like if you play f6 trying to continue, you can't move the d pawn because you'd have to take the rook. Same reason you can't play it before f6. And white is just threatening rook to d4. There's just no way out of it. There's also bishop a6, but yeah, just...
Does that... Does that save him or no? I don't think it does.
No, rook g e5's a blunder there just because of rook g4. There's nothing to be done. So black is, or the dual purpose of rook g4 is not only to threaten rook to d4, but you also have bishop a6, and neither the bishop nor the knight can recapture because the rook now covers b4.
Yeah.
So black has to deal with, or sorry, both a6 and d6 or d7 at the same time. So
Yeah, Kex is looking for, is there a way that flow blunders, maybe d6, and then having the bishop within it.
I'm just rook b4,
Yeah.
and it's over. Just probably just rook b1 here is the safest.
Yeah.
Rook e1
Get
works
rid
as
of
well.
move the king to grab the bishop.
a3, h3, and then king f1 or g2. All right, flow needs one draw. And we see this line again. So h5, I think, is the move that everybody likes here. And then it's just a4. We get to that. Could be b3 or b6. Okay, we see knight h6 and king to d7
So
with the plan of going to d7.
Yeah, so this is different than the last game, so flow's at least trying some variation.
I think white's only plan of action here to stop this is knight to a5.
Oh, that's an
Covers the covers the b7 square. So if king b7, you take with the knight, and the pawn is defended twice. Even if your knight gets chained to h8, it can always play knight to g6 and attack the pawn that can't be undefended by both the knight and the bishop.
Let's see if he finds it, though. He does.
Yep, at a5. So king c6 is fine for white. If king a7, just pawn takes, and there's no... You can just either promote to a king or a knight, depending on if the rook moves or not. So now that black's rook is dead, what is black's best option here? Maybe it's h5. Maybe it's knight f6. Knight f6. We see knight f6 with flow, so...
Yeah, he went,
Knight f6 with flow, so...
he went, he went for the knight.
So You just got a whole bunch of minor pieces chilling on the A file.
Yeah, they're all lining up over there. Maybe he should get this knight over here too, just to get them all in the same spot.
Maybe you play knight b3 and try to set up a chain.
I mean, Kex has to be feeling pretty good here as far as this gigantic material advantage. Flo doesn't have a king. His rook's kind of pinned in there.
Yeah, maybe he plays like... I think knight b3 is mate now, actually. Because I don't see how you stop the impending horde of pieces coming down with well, just sacking and then sweeping everything. Like black's best try, d5 doesn't work, so yeah, I'd imagine it's like g5.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Tries d5.
Yeah, this is mate now. Bishop c4, a4, pawn takes, and then rook a2. Plus you have king e1 at the end of it, and there's no way to stop all promotions. And Kex sees it. Yeah, just rook a2, king e1, easy win. Rook c1 first, interesting. I think this is still fine, because black is really not in a position to escape. So.
Yeah, I think Kex wants
However,
to make
they
sure
can try knight e4.
he wants to make sure he has all of his pieces lined up. Now I can do the capture chain. Move his rook up.
And just rook c5 or rook c3, I guess, trying to get to g3. Oh, actually, hold on.
Knight promotion?
Knight promo. Yeah, loses the mate.
Well, hold on. Then can we just go g3 with the rook? Queen promotion.
No, if after knight promotion, rook to g3 doesn't work anymore because you take with the pawn first, and then after takes, knight takes, king takes, rook takes, your king can't chain with more than one pawn. Knight promo was fine there.
All right. Keck should be able to clean this.
Just gotta remember the the knight on the a8.
All right, 6-4.
Wait, we go into game 10. Another e3 game.
All right, don't do e6. Don't do e6. I mean, I don't have a different option, but c5. That's different.
Oh, that's game losing right there. Just take the knight. That's game. Or at least it should be. Wait, no, this isn't the line that loses. It's a different one where queen e2 wins. Never mind. However, this is still very strong for white.
Do you think was that like a pre-move? Like he
Yeah,
thought...
that was definitely a pre-move. Queen g4, you kind of have to play g5 here and give up your king. It's just everything else loses. Even if you play g6, then you can take the king, and it doesn't work anymore because in the long run, the g5 pawn is there to stop both the d pawn and the e pawn from advancing. So you have to play g5 and give up the king.
brings the queen out
Okay,
instead.
we see queen d6. So he's doing a race instead. In this case, I don't think it works because there's just g4,
Yeah.
and it's a simple sweep. Knight f3, h4, and there's not really anything black can do. h4, bishop takes rook, f3, bishop takes pawn, h5, bishop takes. There's nothing you can do. There is a chance that white messes up one move, but I
It's
doubt
not
it.
looking like it.
No. Just e4 here, king d1 works, b4 works. I don't think king e2 works, but your bishop takes, there's knight c3. And that's game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Kex pre-moved that knight to a6 right at the beginning.
I just c takes b3 here. A takes doesn't seem like it works. Then you just have d3, bishop takes, and then bishop to h. No, wait. Maybe it's d4 here? Because then if pawn takes, there's knight c3, so you have to take the knight first. And then the bishop sweeps with bishop a6. Or bishop a3, sorry. Bishop. Yeah, I don't actually think this works. I think black is fine now. Because bishop takes b1, rook takes b1, knight takes, rook takes, pawn takes. And now you've got bishop, 2 pawns, king, versus 7 pawns, 2 rooks, knight, bishop.
Holy cow.
Kex is back in it. I don't even know what to play here as white. This thing is really strange. Maybe like h4? Okay, bishop h6. Knight takes, obviously. And Kex is just going to go for, or Flo is just going to go for sacking everything as fast as possible. So, h4. Okay, so Kex has to play either g5, h5. And a key point here is that black has to make sure that if white promotes to a bishop, they can sack it, because Flo wins with the series with the draw.
And obviously he can't move his... So
in this case, I think bishop doesn't work in this moment right now, because if bishop, there's h5, pawn takes, and then e6, bishop takes h5, h4, bishop takes f5, h3, and the bishop has enough time. So we see king.
I mean, this is just...
Maybe rook c8 here?
Intermediate.
So this will be a very interesting match, or endgame. Flo is just chasing after the pawns. But I think black wins this one now. I don't remember exactly. Ooh, actually no. I think black needed to play b5 and not a4.
boy.
Because now this just does not look good.
Yeah, it's just over.
Yeah, well. All right, they're playing the final game of the series, so.
Well, congratulations to Flo. Defended his title. Decides to play b5 to finish it
And now
off.
you can see Kex relaxing with this defense. A4, C4, probably knight takes here. We'll see knight f8. Okay, bishop takes. Probably knight f8, queen h5. Or queen f3, maybe knight h3. Rook b8.
I like that. That's.
I'd probably take on f7.
Set up like a queen rook race right here.
Probably black takes on g1.
Yeah, so g1 I think wins, right? Oh no.
Oh, that's nice.
That's clever.
White's best try is e4, and then like rook e6, I guess, or h6. Then rook takes, bishop takes pawn, rook takes pawn, pawn takes rook, bishop takes rook, but it's still futile after king g7, rook takes g7, e5, rook takes c7, e4, rook takes a7, e3, king takes e3, mate. Oh, wait, g3? I didn't even see that. I did something similar against Supwitches in my semi-final match. I just didn't calculate well enough. It's like, oh yeah, that's not actually mate, and I have mate. I just resigned with mate on the board. So White's technique here is going to have to be kind of perfect to get a win, just because the king and the rook both control c3, d3, and e3. So you both have to be careful of where the rook stands and the king on a8. So there's no chance to ever play something like rook b8 isolating one of the kings, just because the king is always close enough to your king. So rook b7 is a good move. I guess White's idea is playing rook to g7, trading the rook for the king. But then White has to be sure that they can chain with the rest of the pawns.
Kind of surprised Flo is still like thinking in this, and instead of just like moving fast, and if he loses, whatever. I mean, he's giving him king to d4 to open up a second pawn that needs to march the length of the board to probably be promoted to another king. Attacks the pawn directly.
Sorry about that. A couple internet issues, but yeah, Black resigned. So we see 7-5 as the final score for change opening. So SirKex. Congratulations to our two finalists and our winner, Flo.
Yeah, good matches. I feel a little bit bad that it seemed like Kex had a couple of those games where he had it won, but it was just hard to calculate, and maybe that would have made the difference. It seemed like the c4 was working pretty well, so. But
if he'd remembered to just take on h7 instead of g7, then two of those games go to him instead of Flo.
Right.
That's a 7-5 Kex instead.
Could be the difference,
so, yeah.
But congratulations to both players. First and second place is pretty good. We've got third place match between Devansh and Supwitches tomorrow. I'll probably be streaming that one as well. And yeah.
All right, we will see you tomorrow then.
All right, see you.